In this episode you will see the test run for the vacuum infusion, the building of a tarp shed over the hull number 1, the application of all the fiberglass and carbon fiber fabrics, as well as all the materials needed for a successful vacuum infusion, as well as Hurricane Ian related damage and recovery efforts. The test for vacuum infusion, the transom panel is prepared with the fiberglass and carbon fiber fabrics. The test run has begun after completing the setup with peel ply, infusion flow media, vacuum lines, epoxy resin feeder lines, and sealing the vacuum bag. The vacuum infusion test was successful, and the result is astonishing. Way to go! Now I started to cut the different fiberglass and carbon fiber fabrics needed for the proper hull reinforcement for the whole hull number 1, which would be applied using the vacuum infusion system as successfully tested at the transom panel. But before applying all the materials and installing the vacuum system, I needed to protect the whole hull number 1 against the almost daily occurring afternoon rain showers with a tarp-covered shed. Two and 1/2 weeks later, the 50 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 14 feet high shed with the tarp covering was ready. Now I began applying the various sheets of reinforcement consisting of fiberglass and carbon fiber fabrics. The first layer of carbon fiber fabric over the layer of 8 ounces S-glass, followed by 2 layers of 1708 biaxial fiberglass fabric. Nylon peel ply. And now the red infusion flow media to assist in the distribution of the epoxy resin during the infusion process. Installing the vacuum distribution lines and the epoxy resin feeder lines. Installing the nylon vacuum bagging film. Testing the vacuum bag and leak detection procedure including leak repair. Unfortunately, we could not finish, as the next day the weather degraded rapidly, and the previously expected trajectory of the hurricane continued shifting eastwards and therefore too close to our location, so we decided to prepare for the worst, and took all the tarp coverings off our sheds under very fast deteriorating rainstorm conditions. The day after the hurricane, the roads were either too full of debris and downed trees and power lines for a safe drive, or completely impassable and closed. The second day I managed to drive from our home to the boat building site by going off-road in some cases, passing by some completely erased homes, devastated landscapes, downed power poles and power lines, even large steel and concrete power poles. It was like a war zone. So I did expect to find total devastation also at the boat building site. When I arrived there, I had to go off-road again, as the street was blocked by power poles and lines. I had to jump over the downed power lines in front of the access gate, to go inside, and then I saw the damage. It was bad, but not as bad as I expected. Hull number 1 was literally blown off the strongback, and laying on the side, obviously covered with debris, and the structure for the tarp shed was also toppled and some of it was stuck under the hull, but after first inspection, hull number 1 had no structural nor planking damage, only the vacuum bag and the lines, as well as the peel ply were partially ripped off. Hull number 2 was completely unharmed and sitting very slightly moved. The storage shed with the tools and some of the materials I kept there, was intact and dry, a miracle. The removal of debris, the entangling of the damaged shed structural parts, and general cleanup begins. Since there was no help available, because almost everyone was busy doing the same work at their own property, I did everything by myself, as good as possible, but could not complete the task before a crane service would move hull number 1 back on the strongback, so the wait for this to happen begun. On Saturday, November 19th, Metro Crane Service arrived to do the work needed by lifting the hull number 1 back onto the strongback. Raul, the son of the owner of the Metro Crane Corporation, was driving and operating the crane, and he deserves a big kudos, as he did a special weekend shift to help us out, but not only for that, he is also an excellent crane operator, and managed to lift the hull back on to the exact position on the strongback, without causing the minimal damage. I know now why they are calling themselves the Boat Kings, and I can only recommend the Metro Crane Service to everyone with a boat/yacht who needs a crane service. Their experience is worth it. The hull is now back on the strong back, and the damage is really confined only to the vacuum bag, which needs to be removed and renewed, a lot of work, and loss of time, before I can start doing what was ready to be done before Ian interrupted the workflow. In the next episode I will give you a detailed overview on the progress of the cleanup and rebuilding of the shed over hull number 1, as well as some specific technical details. It is possible that I will not be able to upload the next episode by the end of next week as usual, since I will be very busy doing all the recovery work, but I will do my best to delay episode 7 as little as possible, and hope that you stay with us. We would really appreciate if you help us to grow our young channel, by giving us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, if you haven't yet, share with your friends if you think they could be interested, and hit the bell button, so you will be notified when a new episode will be published. Thank you for watching and supporting us.